I'm going to call Henry Johnson to stand, please.
Mr. Johnson, would you raise your right hand, please, sir? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? I do. Thank you. Mr. Mann.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Johnson, would you please state your full name for the record, please?
Henry Stewart Johnson.
Are you employed?
Yes, I'm the Commonwealth Attorney for Harlan County, the 26th Circuit.
How long have you served in that capacity?
Since late January or early February of 1992.
Mm-hmm. How long have you been licensed to practice law in the state of Kentucky?
Since 1976.
Mr. Johnson, in your capacity as Commonwealth Attorney in Harlan County, did you have occasion to prosecute 2 criminal cases with 08 case numbers against 2 physicians who were charged with selling illegal narcotics in Harlan County, Dr. V and Dr. Lalani?
Yes. Now, actually, they were selling the narcotics in Nashville, which were then being brought with their knowledge to Harlan County and sold illegally.
Thank you. Thank you. During the course of the prosecution of that case, did discussions over a plea agreement for Dr. V and Dr. Lalani take place?
Yes. And
specifically, I want to refer you to the time frame of late 09 heading into early January of 2010. Does that refresh your recollection?
Yes. Plea negotiations were going on at that time, and it resulted in a plea on January 11th of that year.
And can you please outline for the members of the Commission any discussions you had with Judge Russell Alred regarding the plea and the terms under which that agreement would be pled?
Right. At that time, there were 2 defendants, and they had 6 attorneys representing them. There were 3 Kentucky lawyers and 3 Tennessee lawyers who represented them. They lived in Tennessee. It was an unusual case in that they had never actually come into Kentucky, and we were using a statute that grants jurisdiction extraterritorially when they knowingly do something that causes a crime or damage in Kentucky. Do you want a more history? Or am I
no,
just okay. Okay. Now, as far as the plea negotiations go, at this time, although they had 6 attorneys, Lowell Lundy, who's a Kentucky attorney, was representing both defendants in the plea negotiations. And we talked about different potential pleas. And when we had a tentative agreement reached, we advised Judge Alred that we were in plea negotiations, that we had a tentative agreement reached. And he indicated that what we were talking about was not satisfactory, and he wanted more of the bond money that was put up by the doctors to be left in Harlan County in terms of some forfeiture or donation or something of that nature.
And if the plea agreement was approved and entered in open court on January 11th,
yes, sir.
When did this discussion with Judge Alred that you've just outlined for us take place?
I think there was probably more than one contact with Judge Alred, but it would have been between October, November, December of that year, preceding the January 10th plea. And
during the course of these discussions about the plea with Judge Alred, did he ever indicate to you that he would dismiss the case for lack of jurisdiction if all of the bond money was not taken from the defendants?
Yes, he did. Sheriff Lipford and I had met with Lowell Lundy in my office, and we had reached a plea agreement which called for, I think it was $600,000 of the money. Originally there was $1.4 million put up in bond. At one point that was reduced to $1.2 million, and $600,000 was to be forfeited or left there in some way. while Mr. Lundy was there, I called the judge and advised him that we were reaching this agreement. And after we completed that conversation, Mr. Lundy left, and I was still talking with Sheriff Lipford, and Judge Alred came to my office, which is very unusual. And he came in, and he was very emphatic and said that he wouldn't approve a plea that left where they took any of the money back, and that if we presented something else, he would dismiss the case for lack of jurisdiction.
How did that make you feel as Commonwealth Attorney?
Well,
These feelings are irrelevant to judicial conduct, aren't they?
I'm sorry?
Is that one of the elements is his feelings?
I can rephrase.
Rephrase it.
And then a $500,000 donation made to the Harlan Fiscal Court.
right. And let me explain how that came about. Judge Alred had indicated earlier that he wanted money from that bond to be used for the Bluegrass Challenge Academy, which is a kind of a halfway house type of program for troubled youth, for that to be built in Harlan County, and to expand the drug court program. Now, asset forfeiture is something that happens in drug trafficking cases where there are proceeds of drug trafficking that the defendants have, and it's basically forfeited to the Commonwealth. Now, as far as doing it for these purposes, okay, we had talked about that, and when we finally reached the agreement where $1 million was to be left in Harlan County, we advised Judge Alred. At that point, he wanted to not have it for those purposes, but to use it to construct a water park. And the way that we were going to accomplish the money that was going to go to things other than pure asset forfeiture was, the agreement was for an asset forfeiture of $1 million. And the defense counsel had wanted to make it as a donation to the county instead of asset forfeiture, because it would be tax deductible to them. And expanding drug court over to this water park, I thought there might be another change. And so we shouldn't specify. And I proposed that general language, and I advised the judge of that. And then that was in the motion, it was in the order, and I mentioned it in open court. And that's what happened.
And so before the hearing on January 11th, when you talk about open court, before that hearing, if I understand what you're telling me correctly, Judge Alred was involved in trying to exert some control over how these funds were going to be expended?
Yes.
And originally he suggested that they be used for the Bluegrass Challenge Academy and then to expand the drug court.
Yes.
But at some point he changed and said he wanted the money to be used for a water park.
Correct.
Let me show you a couple of exhibits. Let me show you what we've marked as exhibits 1 and 3 in this proceeding. Mr. Johnson, take a second and look at those. 1 and 3, Judge, is what I'm showing.
Right.
Okay, number 1 is the motion that was filed to reduce the bond amount to $500,000, with the remaining $500,000 to be donated to the Harlan Fiscal Court to alleviate drug abuse in Harlan County, subject to the approval of the Harlan Circuit Court, correct?
Right.
And then the order that was entered January 11th is consistent in providing and basically sustaining the motion and setting forth those terms. Is that correct?
Yes.
Were these terms discussed with Judge Alred? The terms
Yes.
of this motion
Yes.
and the terms of this order?
Yes.
And tell me what you recall about happening in open court when this was discussed and the motion was heard.
When the motion was heard, well, the judge, we talked about it with the judge before motion hour.